Good evening. I'd like to call this regular Board of Finance meeting for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 to order. First item on the agenda is public forum. Anybody wishing to address board in public forum? Seeing none. Item number 2, approve minutes of our regular meeting minutes of December 18th, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any comments, corrections, edits?
To
Please.
page E, second paragraph under number 4. Expenditures. I think, Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, that the students in the unapproved program, they don't need to move programs. It's just that the program needs to be approved before we get reimbursement.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
that-
need to be approved in order to be eligible for excess cost reimbursement.
Tweak the wording so that it's not a change in program, it's a change in the approval. And then page 4, under revenues, they're 41.6% through the year instead of so the year.
I have one correction, and just going back, Linda, will you have an update on the state regarding those students for you during your program? I circled it to remind myself to ask you. And then just above where Amy indicated her edit, her paragraph under number 5, 5th line, where it says, while there is no slight. Does anybody have anything else? If not, I will call the question. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you. Item number 3, correspondence. I will note the standing building committee, they postponed their meeting. They were delayed, so I think they met. I think they were meeting this week or late last week. So we won't have building committee minutes this particular month. Next month we'll get them. So we'll go to pension committee minutes. Thing under pension committee for December 20th minutes. Okay. Hearing none, best report. See the increase for this month, or I'm sorry, through November 30th. So it's a little delayed, but
It's a big month, November 8%.
yep, it's a good month. If nothing further on pension, OPEB board minutes, or in the investment report. Anything on either. Good month for that as well. Okay. Go to item number 4, review and accept the report of expenditures for the Board of Education for December 2023. Linda Trudeau, and reporting this evening, Board of Education member Dick Hirsch. Dick.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The December financial report, expenditures for December were $6,128,757.98. The expenditures and encumbrances for the end of December was 45.97%. Pretty much the same as the 46% for the previous year. Pretty much each of the expenditure items below, salaries, employee benefits, purchase services, etc. It's pretty straightforward. I want to note that the purchase services, for example, says that it's higher than last year. The reason for that is the timing of the billing. And the transportation line suggests that in fact the budget is lower than last year. We wish. That is simply the fact that the payments, the billing came in late. If we look at the warrant, which is the listing of all the bills that we're paying for this month, Again, pretty much straightforward. I just want to bring to your attention something that you may have noticed that on page 2 of the warrant, there is a listing of about 20 payments to Air Dynamics Incorporated. It's the company that does our HVAC work, and it only demonstrates the amount of HVAC work we do on any of our buildings. There's nothing particularly unique or emergency about that in the larger sense that it's similar to what we do it, all the time, but they bunched up a lot in December. And on page 7, we have a payment of $48,000 and $67,000 to CIRMA, which is the Liberty Auto and Property and Workmen's Compensation insurance that we pay, and those are our quarterly payments. Those are the big items I got on the warrant. You may have questions about any of that.
Got a couple, actually, I think it's on the same page. Nope. Correct, page 9. Didn't know the end of this, but it's East River Energy, and it was just a 22,000 for bus yard diesel. And the question was whether that, how often that 22,000 is it? Is that that's obviously not a one-time, but it's, is it whenever we need it, or is it like a monthly charge?
Whenever we need it. It's usually somewhere around 6,000 gallons, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. It's on a scheduled replacement.
It is-
When it gets low,
Okay.
they go in and fill up the tank.
But it's not a scheduled monthly payment, it's a scheduled when it's needed.
it's
Then
needed.
we, okay,
It was sent from the tank.
Yeah.
Sent the message.
Yeah, it's checked every day to see what the level is and when they need it, they make sure they get.
page 13, the IV organization, I guess, the exam fees. Question on that was how often are we do we see that? And there were 2 charges, which was somewhat interesting. It was 22,000, then 246. So was there one missed, or was it like,
No,
is
the-
that
the
admin charge?
246 The 246 was actually something a little bit different, it's some kind of a reporting, almost like a transcript kind of thing.
Okay.
And those are being reimbursed by parents
Oh, okay.
for the 246. The bigger one, we will get back towards the end of the year. When the students complete the program, we'll get some of that back. So that pretty much is an annual fee, the 22,000.
It's an annual fee.
Yes.
Okay.
That we won't see a charge.
Thank you.
Curious about that, because I should get out of the car and go look, but the bleachers at Adams. The new, they're repaired, that's just about 30,000.
I think they were repairs.
Wow.
Double check. They're the ones inside then.
Inside.
I think they're inside the gym, but I'll double check.
The bleachers in it? I mean, there's bleachers in the
gym.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, outside. They're baseball. I mean, they're baseball fields, but they're not.
Bleachers.
They're
Pretty sure it's probably.
They're metal benches.
Those are the old that
yeah.
takes 4 guys to pull up, right?
I can only imagine the operating mechanicals on
When
those.
we use those, we have a workman's comp problem.
Problem.
Page 10, points down towards the bottom. When evaluation service. 6,000. Continuing service for evaluation.
Contracted services, so that's a special education service.
Just a note, tuition report was sent earlier today to all of us.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my phone. I didn't get a chance to print it out, so.
It was not a drastic change from the previous month,
Right.
just finding the costs. I did, so an update for the program that was not approved.
Yes.
Commissioner has signed it. It is now approved program as of December 27th. So any expenses that we incur after that December 27th date is eligible for excess cost reimbursement,
It's not grandfather.
but is not grandfathered.
Okay.
They will not grandfather.
Okay.
So we will get some money.
Okay.
I haven't calculated out the difference. It's not gonna be a huge dollar amount.
Is it just from the start of the school year?
Yes. Yeah, so 3 months.
Anything on the meeting minutes? I may do, I did last month. It's usually under old business. I would have covered the meeting. We had the joint Board of Finance, Board of Education meeting, but I feel it's better to do it when you're up at the table. So you could add whatever you need to. I'll make it very quick. The superintendent's budget came to us, came to the Board of Education actually, and then we receive it. With this superintendent's intended proposed budget is I'm still trying to get the numbers, 5.48, or 5.48% right now. 4.6.
5.46.
So we had an hour and a half joint meeting with the Board of Education. And as I think I probably say every single year, always enlightening. And I think, all the details will come out in that. It's actually all of the items they said in, when we talked about the joint meeting and what Dr. Freeman brought to our attention, all of those were pretty much incorporated. I think one of the things I wrote was that non-discretionary items in the Board of Education budget for 24-25 is 3.7% of that increase, with 1.5 being discretionary investments. And 70, I think I saw 73% of the increase is salaries. And there's a lot of different ways to break that down, whether it's some increased full-time positions, but a good portion of it, if not most of it, is due to contractual increase. So there'll be lots of discussion. I wanted to make sure that the public knows that the Board of Education have their public budget hearing meetings next Monday, Tuesday. That's the 22nd, 23rd, 7:30 at night. Have 2 nights, and they're both at the high school media center. And next month we'll have the presentations. Of course, we'll alluding to the Board of Selectmen also, and First Selectman Howie doing his presentation, but the Board of Education will be doing their presentation on our February. I think it's 16th is when our meeting is, our next regular meeting, 15th, Thursday, February 15th is our next regular meeting. So I just wanted to bring that, and the main reason I brought it up is that's the superintendent's budget. So the Board of Education, as I mentioned tonight, hasn't had any meetings at all about this particular proposal. So those will be coming forward, and we'll be getting the Board of Education's budget presented to us on February 15th. So anybody have anything else to add regarding that meeting?
I just want to add that
Yes,
the
please.
full budget, the way the Board of Education received it, the way you received it, is on our website,
Oh, thank you.
along with the slides for Dr. Freeman's presentation that he did to the Board of Education this last Monday, and the full budget time. So if anybody wants to look at the budget, it is on the website.
Yeah, there's a couple of iterations. There's a superintendent's budget that will have slides in the presentation, and then the Board of Education. And their proposed budget based on that. So,
And if people have questions about the budget, they should send it to the superintendent's office.
anything else for the Board of Education? Linda or for Dick? Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you. And Let's see, what should we do next? Let's entertain a motion, shall we? To accept the report of expenditures for the Board of Education for December 2023 in the amount of $6,128,757.98.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions, recusals. Thank you, Megan, chiming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5. Little out of order than we're used to, but Mary Jane, I see that you're virtual and you're ready to go. So number 5, discuss and take possible action on transfer from reserve for personnel to various salary accounts. As recommended by the finance director, we have a memo attached, which it's so short, I'll even read it. It's to the members of the Board of Selectmen and Finance, January 9th, 2024. From our finance director about salary transfers from reserve for personnel. I respectfully request a budget transfer of $163,436 from reserve for personnel into the attached line items to cover changes made to contracted salaries after the fiscal year 24 budget was developed. These changes are due mainly to the finalization of the GSA contract and changes in personnel, and there's a number of line items that I will not read out, that 163,436. Mary Jane, anything you'd like to add to that?
Other than my typo, GSA should be GEA. So these are
What happens when you read it directly from the memo, so I should.
well, yeah, no, it's my typo, GEA, GSA. Just want to note that these are all items that were approved through new contracts. And if you remember correctly, when we put the budget together last year, the GEA contract did not finalize until after the budget was passed. So that's why we're coming to you with this transfer for today.
Yes, please.
MJ, I don't need to correct you, but this was not a reworking of the contract. This was an outside exercise we did with the union to address the salary issues that had been in place for some time. We specifically did not open the contract, we just did a wage adjustment. And this is one of the things that I'm proud of because effectively we are taking so many of our employees, taking them above working wage levels. And they have been so many of them have been underpaid for so long. So this is the second of the 2 years that we did this program. So and I just want to make sure you understand that what this has done is raised a lot of folks.
My only question was, and I'm trying to look for it, and what is there a remaining budget on reserve for personnel?
So this transfer will overdraw the amount that we have left in reserve for personnel in our budget. But as we do every year, we anticipate using some of the fund balance committed for a reserve for or assigned for a reserve for personnel. So we do only budget a certain amount in the current year. So the rest will need to come from fund balance at year end.
Okay,
I think it's about 20,000.
thank you.
Do you need a motion to amend the motion, Mr. Chairman? Say GEA?
I don't, no, I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't,
Definitely
yeah,
not.
you can,
If I was gonna read it, yeah, I was gonna put that in there, but it's based on the memo, so it's just, yeah.
yeah, and it's not strictly GEA, GEA is the majority of the change. So I'm not sure if GEA needs to be in your motion.
No, it won't be. Oh, make that simple. With that, Jonathan, see how this is. I'll entertain a motion to approve a transfer of $163,436 in fiscal year 24 from reserve for personnel into the line items noted in the memo dated January 9th, 2024 from the finance director.
Second.
Just have one thing to
You
add.
can move it.
So
I entertain it. You can move it. Anybody second?
I'll second.
All right, there you go.
The only thing I'll add for discussion purposes, I think this program is a good idea. We've heard consistently from the Board of Education and from town heads and in the public sector, how hard it is to find good people and to keep them here. And a program like this that is a result of a collaborative effort between the department heads and the employees is a good indicator of why we are trying our best to keep the people we have employed and staying here instead of looking for replacements.
That's,
Much better said than I could have done.
no, it's true. It's both retention of who we have and recruitment eventually, that
As well.
they're more competitive. And we need to compete on a regular basis. Okay, call the question, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We will move on to item number 6, review and approve the report of expenditures for town government for December 2023. Mary
Okay,
Jane?
yeah, so I'm gonna start with revenues. It is reporting through December 31, 2023, which is halfway through our fiscal year already. We are 60.9% received our revenues overall, little less than where we were this time last year, but I just want to remind you that we did up a number of the budgets. That does change the percentage. All of the budgets are pretty much where we expect them to be at this time. Specifically just wanted to note Park and Rec. Park and Rec is only at 33%, but a majority of their revenue comes in after spring for beach passes and boat racks. So we do expect that they would meet their budget by the end of the year. I'll entertain questions.
Anything on revenue?
No, actually, Park and Rec is ahead of where they were this time last year, so.
Correct, but last year we're asking about Park and Rec, so I just wanted to make sure to note it.
All right, we can move on to expenses.
Okay, so on the expense side, 50% through the year, we are 50.9% spent. A little bit less than where we were this time last year. Again, all of our departments are right where we expect them to be at this time. As I've noted in the past, most of the budgets that are over the 50% are due to timing of expenditures. Specifically, some of our departments that have a bulk of their expenditures that go out the first of the fiscal year. Other than that, I don't really have anything to bring your attention to unless you have a question.
Gonna go diving right into warrants then.
Okay,
Special fund warrants, regular warrants. Any warrants at all? Have anything? Jeff?
The special fund warrants.
Sure.
The Guilford Foundation, that's the ARPA program. It's great that the decisions have been made and the notice has been sent out. So what's the next step in the process?
The Guilford Foundation has requested actually three separate payments, I think. One for the first $500,000, a second item of $500,000, and the administrative fee that they were entitled to run the program and pay for the consultant, which I think was 5%. Not to exceed 5%. So, Mary Jane is working with Liza Petra at the foundation to ensure that the process that we use to the transfer and the invoicing meets with the federal compliance rules related to the American Rescue Act. Last thing we want to do is anyone us to see a guy knocking on the door and say, "You didn't do it right."
Exactly. Great.
Thank you.
Capital,
I don't have anything specifically to report on capital. I just wanted to let you know that we will be closing out a couple of the capital bond funds before the end of the year. So we'll be taking care of a couple of them that are coming to a close.
which one specifically? Just the oldest ones?
Not always the oldest ones. So I don't have a full list at the moment, but specifically if you look at Fund 217 for the town side, you'll see that the second one down, town property improvements and equipment acquisitions from fiscal 12 and 13, we're at 0 already. We just paid the last bill. So that one specifically will be complete. And I have a couple of them, I think on the school side. Some of the couple of the older ones, we anticipate closing at this time too, but I don't have final numbers, so I'd really rather not quote them today.
Anyone have any questions on any of the capital project funds? Okay. And medical.
Okay, medical. So December, we're up on claims in December as we know that as the year goes by, the fiscal year goes by, our employees are using up their deductible. And when that happens, the town starts to cover additional claim expenses. So we see that number rise, and we have in December up to $1.3 million. We have caught up with our stop loss payments. So starting in January, we have one payment to go out for the month of January. So we are caught up with that. We do have about $50,000 out in catastrophic claims. That money is due back to us. At the moment, it's all on the Board of Ed side, and about 40,000 of it has already been invoiced, and we're expecting reimbursement for that. Catastrophic claims, the total claims that are over $75,000 is up to 11. That's up 3 from last month, and we still have 2 that are over the $150,000 mark. Revenue is in line with other years. We do have a projected $1 million surplus for our budget at the moment, but as we know, that will start to diminish as we go on paying additional claims between now and June. Any questions?
Karen?
Yes, please.
I was a wise guy this morning at our board of selectmen meeting relative to
The fund,
some of the presentations. But I would consider that folks consider potentially utilizing the surplus in the OPEB funds to offset the increases in the operating budget for our OPEB costs. This is an opportunity. We don't have to make a decision on this tonight, but it's something you don't want to think during your budget deliberations. If we were to make an additional contribution from the medical to the OPEB account, that would impact our required contribution. You could do $1 for $1 for this particular year, but would also impact the future year contributions. So as you remember, you're laddered in terms of how we are increasing OPEB contributions. So I would respectfully suggest that consider this as you go through this.
I was gonna go back to the budget, but the increase from last year would, I want to say it was 40,000 from last year, an increase in the amount from last year to
In the estimated
for OPEB. I don't remember, but it was an incremental cost because we are trying to go up, but anything we do that would come out of here would affect down the road.
Impact the operating budget and then future years operating budgets, because that laddering would be sort of smoothed down over time.
Yeah. I think we'd be more it's definitely worth having that a lot in discussion, especially when we're seeing that the fund balance, it's not like we're cutting it close this year. We're still healthy and we're getting to the point of the year, we could start seeing that it's not gonna change. It could change, as we say, overnight, but we still will be, even if we go to zero for this year, will still be healthy, so we should consider it.
And in that, there is a bit of a relationship from benefits, where it really is not apples and oranges.
Right.
Down the same that.
It's ultimately a reallocation to something long-term down the road that we'd have to take care of, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything further on any of the items for the town or entertaining motion? I will then go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the report of expenditures of the town government for December 2023 in the amount of $3,189,665.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any recusals? Great. Okay, on to item number 7, set interest rate for Guilford Supplementary Tax Relief Program. Number 7 and number 8 have the same memo. So first paragraph of the memo dated January 9th from Mary Jane indicates that I'll just paraphrase here, the Guilford Supplementary Tax Relief Plan requires that the Board of Finance set the interest rate annually for those deferring their taxes. Her recommendation is a rate of 3.13%. used for fiscal year 24-25. And it represents the current 20-year spot yield for AAA rated general obligation municipal bonds reported by municipal market data. So, anybody have any questions regarding that? Mary Jane, anything to add to that?
Thing to add.
We were at, I tend to remember, we were at what were we last year? 2 point?
No, last year, I think it was.
Under 3, I know that
1
was
I think it might have been just over 1%.
over 1. Oh,
Yeah, it was
Just
low.
oh, was that low?
Yeah, but it tends to be in the 2 to 3 range.
Yeah.
Last year was an anomaly as low as it was.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, does anybody have any questions regarding that?
It looks like the same number, applicants are close to the same number for the 23-24 year as it was in 22-23. So.
Well, we're gonna move on to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the other program.
No,
My apologies.
you're right, just hold that for one more.
That's a different program. Mhm.
You're right. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve that the interest rate of the Guilford Supplemental Tax Relief Program for fiscal year 24-25 be set at 3.13% per the recommendation of the town's finance director.
So.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Item number 8, set cap for aggregate benefit under section E2 of the Elderly Tax Relief Program. Under the section 247-27A of the ETRP ordinance, the aggregate benefit should not be set at less than 0.5% of the fiscal year 23-24 total budget of $114,517,020 or $572,585. In order to avoid prorating the benefits of those approved for the program, the Board of Finance has set the cap at a level to cover the full amount of benefits approved as shown in the table below. So we see the table last year. Last year we originally had a cap of $1 million. And that's what we approved last year. And then in the spring, we think Mary Jane had talked, and I talked about this a little earlier because I was like, wait a minute, 1.1, I thought it was 1 million. We had to increase that because the benefits went slightly over. And so we had to increase the cap to 1.1. Jeff, as you noted, the applicants were slightly less by 3. However, I thought it had, I wasn't sure what it had to do with, I thought it was people on it longer, and it's more because of the reval. So the reval has caused that number to go up, more than we anticipated, so. The recommendation from Mary Jane is to, go with a $1.3 million cap. Mary Jane, anything to add to that?
Yeah, you know, hard to know with the reval. It's what caused last year's number to go up. So in anticipation of that possibly causing a second round of that this year, I'm recommending 1.3. You'll see that's still a little bit lower than we were back in 16-17. But less people, higher tax bills.
Point out the budget back and forth, you know, $1 million a year is fairly static. And that back in 14, the total budget was about $85 million. And it's significant. Now we're up 34%, 35%. So you can see fewer people qualify for the program. There's more people making over the transom level to qualify. So I think the program is doing what it's meant to do. The average, if you take the 636 people, you divide it by the number of benefits, it's about $1,600 a head. If you go all the way back, it's been in the 1,200, 1,100 range all the way through. So yeah, last year was a bump because of the reval, but I'd be in favor of increasing to 1.3, the cap, take it, see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. We wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to cut it too close, especially when we still don't know the full impact. So
We don't want to come back again.
we don't know. I mean, we did, but we
But yeah,
still,
I
we
mean-
still, we don't want to do that. Yeah.
I don't want to confuse or actually on the table, but we take a look at the number of applicants, it's been steadily decreasing for a number of years. One of the consistent inputs I get is the cap has been in place at $95,000 and $96,000 for 20 years, 20 years. So it has, that cap has been eroded by inflation over time. And there have been, as I said, a couple of inquiries for lack of time. And I have talked about this in the past. His dad was one of the architects of this program. But we potentially have not kept pace with inflationary impacts to those who are on this program. So we are seeing people no longer qualify based on a variety of reasons. Minimum distributions, variety of things.
Yeah.
So on the other side of the equation, this is still one of the richest programs in the state of Connecticut relative to the upper income level at 90. You know better. So one of the things, and this is not good tonight, but one of the things I would like to do is put together reconvene that original group. You might have to pitch it for Dad if he doesn't, but he's welcome to do it if he wants to. And take a look at how we might be able to adjust this program. Now, one of the things that you need to understand about this program, these taxes are forgiven. Right? So if we were to look at doing something to exceed the cap today, any dollars over that cap might have to be returned to the town. So we can make a sort of a combination of the two tax programs that we have, the ES trip or whatever it is, and then the elderly tax relief program, where over a certain threshold, whatever taxes would have accrued, if they're above that threshold, would then need to be satisfied at the time the property turned over. So again, this is not germane to what you're doing right now, but I think it's important for us to take a look at this over time, because it's not infrequently that I get asked about that question.
I've never looked into it, I've never asked the question, but perhaps you know the answer. At the moment, the average household income in Guilford is 114. Yeah, 114. So we're not far off that. And 20 years ago, when the cap we were at 95, it must have almost exceeded the house, I'm sure it exceeded. Do you remember the reasoning behind picking that high?
I don't, I think you.
That high level?
You, your father,
Yeah.
Bill Bloss and I ought to have coffee to find out where
Bill Maher,
that
yeah.
came from, but, you're absolutely right, it probably did exceed the.
But it was average household income.
No.
Wasn't it at the time?
No.
And here's the other argument, not argument, but the other part of this discussion is, there are plenty of families in this community who are raising families on less than $96,000 a year.
Right.
But the rationale is, those who are getting the tax benefit have been paying taxes for at least 25 years at that level.
Okay, so to qualify for the 95,000, just so everybody knows, it's for a married couple. It takes, you must have lived in Guilford for 20 years. Okay, so there's a curve, it goes up, the benefits start earlier than that. We keep talking about the 95,000, it takes a long time to reach it, to get there. So I'm in favor of having a good look at the program again. At the time it was configured, it was a little bit, it was a little bit mercenary as well as altruistic. It kept people in their homes, people that we relied on for character and culture and leadership in town. And it also meant that we didn't flush two people out of a house, so a family of 5 or 6 would move in. We didn't have to build schools for them. So it's been, in my view, a success, total success. So I'm in favor of continuing it, although I agree it could be tweaked.
I want to add a comment because I've been making this comment year after year. You know, I thought the income level was fairly generous, but I thought it was at least close to the average income in Guilford. So I found that to be acceptable, but I was a little worried about that there's no asset test. I bring this up, and I actually had 2 residents tell me that they did not apply, even though they would have qualified, because they felt that they had more assets than the average taxpayer in Guilford. And I think the taxpayers that do take advantage of this, it's really made for, as you said, to keep residents in town who've been here for a long time and really have paid into the town for 20 years. And, you know, and for people on fixed income. And it's a great program, and I like it. But, you know, just keep in mind that it makes the rest of us pay a little more. And that's a little upside down if you're living in a $2 million house. You know, that's an exaggeration. If you have a lot of assets.
Well,
So
Well,
like it.
I guess I would agree with Jonathan to the extent that for other programs to qualify for state and federal programs, there is an asset test. So they do take into account your assets, and so if you wanted to be in line with other state and federal programs, then it might make sense to look at that.
Nevertheless, it's a great program, but if you're gonna tweak it, you know, I would like to, you know, consider that possibility.
That's one of the reasons why I thought this idea of above the permanent path, that those taxes are not forgiven, but they would need to be returned to the town.
It's capital.
At the sale.
Yeah, so those in that position get the benefit, but their heirs don't.
Indeed.
Or they're, where they.
So it goes back to the pool goes back to the taxpayer.
Food for thought, thank you very much for considering.
Would the future process be to you mentioned reconvening group or creating another subcommittee, like some sort of,
I think it's probably a combination of the two. There are still some.
I'm just wondering how it would work process wise.
I will take the responsibility of trying to put together.
Because I think it's a good idea to relook at it after so many years, for all the reasons.
And any volunteers could put their hand up. I already.
Well, anybody they can shoot me an email, let you know they're interested.
I think it makes sense to look at it again. It's been a while. Yeah, we have to look
Well,
at it
literally,
again.
it's been frozen for almost 20 years.
Ever since I can remember.
And again, you run that against inflation. And, you know, there's some folks have been taking minimum distributions that, you know, stay where they need to be, but once inflation starts taking over, they can draw more. And they can draw more, they are now running up against, well, if I draw an extra, and we've seen this on the board of selectmen, Tracy's seen us agonize over this, people come in the field,
Yeah.
you know, they're $150 over the next. Right?
Or they had medical
Or they- right.
bills and they had to,
Those we can
you know,
exclude, but, you know, somebody who doesn't, somebody took a distribution that took them all. I think it's worth that.
You run as non-occurring, non-recurring single events, they sell a piece of property, it puts them over, it's a one-time issue. They sold the property, paid for, whatever, and it throws them out of the program.
Right, they have to start over again.
They go taxes.
Yeah, so, I think there's, anyway, we're educated, we all, we're educated to, running our own.
Okay, if no further discussion. I will entertain a motion to approve that the aggregate benefit under section E2 of the Guilford Elderly Tax Relief Program for fiscal year 24-25 be capped at 1.3 million for the recommendation of the town's finance director.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Item number 9, committee reports, building permits. Anything under building permits? Item number 10, old business. The old business I covered already, which was going to be our joint meeting with Board of Education this evening. So we've already covered that. Anything else under old business? Item number 11, new business. Wanted to add the Board of Selectmen budget workshops, department workshops are in process. First one was today. After a very long day at the Board of Selectmen. Wow, that was started at 8 o'clock, done at 1:30 or so.
We had a town meeting.
Town meeting, and then your regular.
The Sullivan property, which
Oh, yeah, bring it up.
We did purchase, the Sullivan or Dublin property, and everybody's confused about what it was actually. It's on Tanner Marsh. Black Hill.
Is that where the old schoolhouse is?
It's 24 acres. We took a conservation easement on 3.5 acres, which Sullivan's going to hold on to, because that's where the barn structures are. But we have a conservation easement, so they can't build it on that. But it's absolutely get back to this property. Us to redirect the New England Trail to that property. Was they come down, they actually run 500 people in Marsh. It's not really a trail, it's a road, so there's an opportunity for us to do that as well. And then lastly, there is some conversations taking place with folks who currently run the community garden, because they're looking for a good place. We think that might be a good spot, agriculture. I think it's a little better than the other place we're looking at, which is adjacent to Public Works facility between the Public Works and this has been a target property for a number of years. Just protects this association can roll from and it opens up landlocked acreage that we have east side, which was given us based on this.
Yes, so thank you. And the other half of the department workshops are tomorrow morning. Oh, so most of us, not all of us, will be sitting in on that.
The good news is tomorrow you can go faster.
Yes,
There's only one big department.
well, it is fire.
It is fire.
They could be a little long-winded, you know. If the chief watches this, I'm sure I'll hear about it. Only kidding, chief. Mentioned the Board of Education public budget hearings next Monday and Tuesday, 7:30 at the high school. And I also mentioned our next regular meeting will be the presentations by the Board of Selectmen and Board of Education on the 24-25 proposed budgets. So. Anything else under new business?
Julie's got her hand up.
Oh, Mary Jane, thank you. Appreciate that.
I just wanted to report that the June 30, 2023 audit has been completed and filed in a timely manner this year, I might add. And I'm working on scheduling CLA to come and give their presentation. I do have PDF copies that I will be sending to everyone as well.
Anything else under new business? With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
All fair. Thank you. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Mary Jane.
Thanks.